So, back with another anime episode here. I think it'd be fun to discuss something we just watched literally just now.
Yeah, we literally just watched To Your Eternity, and I'm actually still in awe, so I'm sorry if I can't bring the words out of my mouth. I'm going to have to say, just as a statement before we get started properly, To Your Eternity has the best first episode in an anime I've ever watched in my life. The way it sets up expectations, the way it just builds the world, tells the story. It literally fills your heart with joy and then rips it straight out of your chest. And it's like, wow. I can't wait to see where this goes.
Oh, God, yeah. I remember when I first watched it, I literally just saw the cover for it on Crunchyroll, and I thought, oh, that looks like a nice art piece, and it looks like it could tell an interesting story there. Watched the first episode, was not bloody expecting that to play out.
Yeah.
And it's just, it hits all those perfect marks. It's the music, it really sells the environment, the story.
The music was phenomenal. It really sets up the scene.
The characters, I mean, again, there's only 2 characters in this episode, and you immediately latch onto them and their struggle and just their drive. And my God, I didn't cry.
Just forewarning, spoiler alert for the first episode of To Your Eternity, because we will be discussing it.
Oh,
so
yes.
Slight spoiler alert.
Yes, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I love talking about it, but yeah, if you're going to watch it, start watching it now. At least watch the first episode.
Yeah, do you know what? Do yourself a favour, turn this off and go watch To Your Eternity, and then come back. Do come back. But yeah, watch that first, then come back. If you've already seen it, congratulations, you've been enlightened.
God, yeah, it's just... It's hard to even describe it sometimes, because when a story hits so well, you almost don't want to break it down and find out the mechanics of it, because you just care about the feeling in the moment.
Yeah, so it does build up like a big thing in the first episode where this orb flies down to the surface of a really, really Did it start off snowing? No, it didn't.
No.
It started off quite just rocky, and there was just a rock, and it floats down and it copies that rock and becomes a rock. So this orb turns into the rock, and it sits right next to the other rock. They're exactly the same, and it just sits there, and it has a consciousness though. So it's not learning the whole time, because it doesn't have a consciousness like a being would, but it has understanding of what's happening. Where it's watching the clouds go by, it realizes it's starting to get colder. Where it snows, the seasons change. It grows moss at one point and acknowledges that. And I just think that bit sets up, is this a godlike being? Is this where did it come from? There's a lot of questions even in the first 10 seconds of this anime, but you forget about all those questions almost instantly, because you're so hyper fixated on what's going to happen next. Because I can't imagine all my questions will be answered, but because I haven't seen more than the first episode, I can't really say. But I quite like the mystery behind it as well. The fact that you don't know what this being is at the moment, I quite like that. I really like that. So it turns into a rock, and it stays as a rock. And then this injured wolf is walking across the winter desolate tundra, and unfortunately perishes and dies and lands on top of the rock that was copied by the being. Then the being turns into that wolf. Mm-hmm. So it gains... I feel like right at the end of the episode it said some conditions must be met for this to happen. And I can already kind of tell what the conditions are. That the thing that it's trying to turn into must be dead. I'm not sure what the other ones are. It said something about stimulation right at the end, but I wasn't too sure what that was talking about. Just mainly does it have to get stimulation to stay how it is, or Who knows? One episode in, I know you can't say much. Kobe's just looking at me, just kind of like, I wish I could tell you.
So much, mate. For context, everyone, I've already seen the full first season, and
is that the only season out?
As of now, only the first season's out, but the second season is currently airing as we speak.
I imagine it's also quite a fleshed out manga already. I'm not sure if it started as a manga actually.
It was originally a manga.
Okay.
It was I believe it was written by did you ever see the anime film The Voice?
Yes, I did. That was phenomenal. Yeah.
Lovely film. And the creator of that, she basically created this manga too.
Okay.
So
Brilliant. You can see she likes to tug on your heartstrings, is what you're saying. So,
yeah.
My God, what a woman. So, yeah, it turns into this wolf, and the wolf had an injury on its leg which caused it to die, the original wolf. But this wolf that was copied gains consciousness and doesn't know how to walk. It's like kind of learning baby steps. And then the injury on its leg heals within 20 seconds. And that gives me the impression that this being is definitely immortal, because it starts off as a rock and we have no idea how long it was a rock. We kind of get an idea, but the fact that like it kind of went through what seemed like seasons, but then as the episode went on, I realised, it's just winter now, which makes me think that was an entire climate change. So that could potentially mean that, because if I'll go step by step because I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because it's such a phenomenal first episode. So then this wolf wanders aimlessly in a random direction, and somehow, almost like it was on instinct from the previous wolf, it ends up at its previous owner's household, which is a young boy. We have no idea what his name is.
No, and I would like to highlight here, that is something, not a spoiler because it doesn't really spoil everything else, but what's so phenomenal is that we never find out his name either.
Really?
At all. And that kind of that's such a powerful way about it, because again, they could easily give him a name and it wouldn't change too much, but the fact that you never find out his name, it adds that deeper level of just...
It's quite interesting as well, because he never says his name to the wolf, because why would he? I don't think, like, if you think about it, your dogs don't know your name. And that's weird, because you never be like, hi, I'm Matt. Like, you won't introduce yourself to a dog. So it never knows your name, but you know their name, of course. So it's just that kind of thing where, like, he never would have had to introduce himself, especially because it's a wolf that he previously owned.
Yeah, so, he's his best friend, essentially.
Yeah. And the wolf comes back, and he's, like, so happy. The wolf's been gone for, like, 2 months, apparently. And then he gives the wolf a big hug, and the wolf is just kind of like, oh, someone's taking me in, because it does not understand anything that is on this world. It's like an alien come down to Earth and has no idea about anything. It's like it was born anew, not even like an alien. Like an alien would have previous knowledge, but like it's like it was just born in that one moment.
It's one of those stories that, again, of the first episode, it really shows you the details of how he discovers everything, from the warmth of the room to
learning
the smells.
How to walk, the smells, the feelings. Like, it describes the first feeling of discomfort when it first turns into the wolf and it has the injury in its leg before it heals. Wow. It really sets up kind of the feeling, and you can kind of humanize and understand what this being is going through, where it's like it's just a newborn baby, basically, just learning the world, and it has no idea. So the boy gives him a big hug, takes him in, tries to give him some food, but he obviously doesn't know how to eat. We don't even know if he actually needs food to survive yet. I'm guessing not, because we only see the wolf eat like once, but then the boy kept feeding him because the being realised that it would upset the boy if he stopped eating. So, and we had this kind of moment the first time he did eat, where the kid showed him how to eat, grabbed a fish, took a bite out of it, and went see, and opened up its mouth so that the food was swallowed. And the wolf did exactly the same without saying see, but opens up its mouth and makes a sound like "ah." So it kind of adds that human or just higher consciousness element to it, which is that was such a moment. I loved that bit. And also, this is the most positive person I've ever watched an anime. My God, nothing will get that kid down. So, from what we know, the kid it's his entire tribe basically moved on and told him, because he was injured at the time because the previous wolf bit him on the leg. So he was not able to go with them to the promised land or whatever they were trying to get to, from a tundra to a nice fresh green land. And there was all this promise of the delicious foods, more people for him to meet, fruits that he's never eaten and stuff.
A new land, a new part of the world, new exploration.
There was a nice little scene when you could see inside his imagination, like a slight picture of what he imagines the other side to be like. And there was like these floating things with legs and propellers like in them. And I believe that's what he thought fruit looked like. He thought they were like little animals, because he's never seen stuff that grows on trees because he's been in this tundra his whole life.
Yeah.
So trees just don't exist with at least fresh growing like fruits and vegetables on them. So that was a nice little thing to realise how isolated he actually is.
And touching on what you mentioned about what you said about him and being so optimistic, it makes so much sense considering he was left behind to look after the elderly, and then when they left, they died. Really, it's made quite clear from the graves. After they died, he was left all alone, and all he had was himself and his best friend to rely on. So you had to keep that positivity up. And then he went missing
for 2 months as well. So he must have been overjoyed when he saw his friend come back, but not actually his friend, but just a copy of his friend.
And another great thing too, adding to that, was that moment where he thinks he hears someone come back, and he has to take a moment just to breathe and think, please, let this be someone. And he opens the door, no one's there. But he still keeps that positivity. He still keeps the straight face because he knows he needs to. That's how he survives. And now he's got his friend back, he knows he needs to keep saving.
Sane, yeah. So then he decides to make this journey to try and find the others, because he's left all alone, and now he has his friend back. He feels like he has the strength to make the journey, because he originally was waiting for everyone to come back, but too long had passed, and he was still very positive about it, but I think he knew something was either wrong, or the fact that they were there and having such a good time that they forgot about him. So he makes the effort, packs up all his stuff, and starts a journey towards where they were walking, towards what they said was the promised land.
Mm.
And throughout this journey, with him and his friend, they find markers from the previous people to keep telling him to go in that direction with little arrows. I believe they left that for him in case he ever decided to join when the elderly eventually perished, because they probably knew that they would perish very soon, much before him. So when he was the last one, maybe he would have made the journey to go find them. Maybe. So they left these little markers specifically for him. But from what I speculate, specifically for him. And every time they find a marker, it's been a whole day worth of travel, so they then set up camp, and multiple days pass. It's getting colder, it's getting harsher, and the boy slips not slips on some ice, breaks through some ice by accident, steps on it, and then his leg gets cut from what didn't look like ice. I'm not sure what actually damaged him.
Yeah, on first glance, it could be the branches he had picked up, but it could also be a piece of ice, a very sharp piece of ice.
It could be something under the ice.
Or under the ice, yeah. It's not really specified, but it's not really focused on, because the main thing you're focusing on is that, he's hurt himself.
He's injured, he's alone, he's with his wolf friend, but his wolf friend obviously doesn't know first aid or carry a first aid kit on him. So he is in very harsh tundra, and that is a very, very fatal thing that can happen in real life as well. If you're in that kind of situation and you get injured, if not treated properly, you could perish from your injuries very, very slowly.
Wounds like that go a long way.
Yeah.
Especially in that climate.
So he ties up his leg and he's like, right, let's keep going. So he keeps going and they keep going, and eventually they come across the old, basically what looked like a camp that has been buried in snow. Wagons broken and lots of graves. So the first thing he does is he stares at it for a little bit, and then he puts on his positive act and he says, oh, there were people here, this is great. And then he walks over and knocks the snow off one of the rock formations, and it kind of just comes to him that it's a grave and there's multiple graves around, and he just kind of breaks down and says he doesn't have the strength to go on.
Yeah, it reaches a breaking point when he realizes that this could be the people that he'd been keeping such optimism for so long. They didn't even make it.
Yeah, they didn't
reach
even
paradise.
Make it, and he'd followed them. So at that point, he makes the decision to go home. And fair to him, he makes it all the way back home after days and days of travel with this injury. But then we see his injury has gotten infected with swelling and inflammation. And that is a very, very, very bad sign. And he doesn't have anything that can help him with that. So unfortunately, when he gets home, he gets sick. He can't fend for himself. They start running out of food. And he eventually succumbs to his injuries in a very, very, what's it called? Like, majestic manner? Not majestic. That's not the word I'm looking for.
I'd say very delicate. No.
Well, I'll describe it instead because I don't know the word for it. So he gets up off of his bed when he's like really, really starting to succumb to his injuries, and he's like, I don't want to be laying down for when they come back, still staying positive that they'll come back, the rest of this tribe. And he sits on the chair and he's like, this is a much more dignified position for me. I think that's the word, dignified, yeah. And he takes a much more dignified position, sat upright in the chair, and he just stares at the pictures he drew on the wall of his entire tribe, just drew in what seems like dust.
Or could be charcoal.
Or could be chalk, but it looked like it was like a really dusty wall that had been like drawn into with your finger. And he passes away while looking at that and falls off the chair. The wolf, or the being, then comes up to it, gives it a little sniff, and then turns into the boy. And that is pretty much where the episode ends.
And I think what touches that much more to home is that his last words are literally, never forget me. Yeah. And literally in the next scene, he becomes his friend.
Yeah.
He takes on his form and he goes out into the world, likely to the same path they were heading in before. And this narrator, who's been throughout the episode, he basically like spells out for us, even though we kind of figured it already, but I don't care. The narrating is cool too. It adds to it. And he basically just reveals that, yeah, he's gonna live the dream, his dream. He's gonna go out there and discover life, the world, something he wasn't able to do.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful scene of him venturing out and living the boy's dream that he could not live, which was very, very sad. It did bring a little tear to my eye. I was, what an episode. So with this entire like first episode, everything about it was phenomenal. The music, the setup, the animation, just the feelings it makes you go through. Everything was top notch. So there's something I like to do before I watch an anime, is I have a little list of anime, and I'm like, right, okay, which animes are really worth my time? And the way I decide this is usually I go through and I watch the first episode of maybe about 4 or 5 animes, and whichever one captivates me the most and makes me want to watch it more, that is the one I choose to watch the next series of. And I might come back to the others, but if they don't, I'll take them off the list if they don't seem good. This is one of the ways I found Jujitsu Kisen, was I just watched the first episode and I was like, this is great, I love this. But with this, If I watch this first episode with being the first one on my list, because usually I'm very strict with myself and I'm like, no, I must, even if I'm so into this anime, I must watch the others just to see if the others are potentially better. I would put down everything and just be like, okay, that's it. I'm just watching this now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to know what happens next.
Oh boy, you are going to be in for a treat. Now, before we get onto some speculation stuff, I actually want to ask, what did you think of this? What do you think this show was proceeding before we watched the first episode? Because did you have any expectations leading into it, or did you have an idea?
I went in completely blind for the most part. The only thing I knew about it is there's some kind of immortal being. That was it. I didn't know it was like a being that turned into things. I thought it was just like, maybe I saw like just a silhouette screenshot of the boy and the wolf, and I thought maybe the wolf is immortal or the boy is, and this is one of his like one of his journeys where the wolf joins him, and I had no idea what to expect, and I'm very glad I went in with no expectations and no ideas, and had no clue. I was literally blind as a bat watching this, and wow, it blew me out of the water. It was amazing.
For me, I again, or equally so, I literally just stumbled across it, started watching the first episode, and I actually paused it because I had to. I started watching the episode, and I got to around the point where they were leaving on their journey, and I had to pause it so I could like go and make a big dinner at the time. But I built this scenario up in my head while I was making dinner that, okay, so this is what the show's going to be about. It's going to be about this immortal being coming to Earth and going on an adventure with this kid, and we're going to see some amazing sights, we're going to see some interesting characters, and we're going to see a big story involved with these two people, and gradually the kid's going to find out what really happened to his best friend. They might be in some drama because of that.
Yeah,
to find out that your friend
was
not your friend. He's actually this immortal creature that basically took your best friend's form. And there would have been some drama with that, but then they maybe would have made up and gotten closer, and that could have led in so many directions. But they pull the rug under you essentially. They don't literally pull the rug under you because they telegraph quite clearly what's happening as you watch the episode. But it's almost like, oh no, don't kill him off. He's so optimistic. He's such a good kid. I want him to see the world.
I knew as soon as he got injured, I was like, oh, I see where this is going. I'm quite good at predicting shows and how they go, just from experience watching them, tropes and cliches and things like that. Not saying this is tropey or cliche, but from that kind of experiences, I'm quite good at predicting what will happen next just by an educated guess. And as soon as the boy got injured, I was like, oh, he's going to die. I didn't know it was going to be this episode. I thought it was going to be like a few episodes in, but it was the first episode they killed him off, and I was like, wow. As soon as I saw it getting swollen, though, I knew that he's dead at that point. That can be within days you die from that kind of stuff. So, and it was days worth of travel. So, yeah, it's just, what a first episode. I've got to say, if you do anything with your life, is do this. Just watch this first episode, see what you think. You will want to watch more because it's just phenomenal.
Honestly, I know we're a few months into the year already, but if you're looking for something new in anime to watch for 2023, I would highly recommend this series.
Was this made in 2023?
No, this was made in 2022, last year.
Okay, right. I wonder if it's one of the top animes of last year. It fucking should be.
I hope so.
Pardon my French, but it should be.
God, it's one of those. Again, just from the first episode, it's one of those stories that everyone can resonate with, and it does it so perfectly well. And I mean, heck, we've got 19 more episodes to look forward to.
It was a 20-episode anime
in total. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, and
usually it's 12 or 13, but I would like I was thinking, I hope this is not too short. To like build up a cliffhanger and then have season 2 come out to finish off the cliffhanger. But no, I'm glad that it's 20 episodes. That gives me enough time to really enjoy what they've set up so far. Because after that first episode, if you gave me 12 episodes, I would be sad.
So prediction time here. What do you think is going to happen?
So, I think because the way it happened with the wolf, when he turned into the wolf, is he didn't really know how to operate the body or anything like that. So, for the first couple episodes, he's going to be learning how to be human in terms of speaking, in terms of doing pretty much anything a normal human would do. Walking on 2 feet. He seemed pretty confident at that, actually, at the end of the first episode, so maybe not that. But in terms of there's whole complexities to being a human, where it's like social constructs, culture, when like cooking, like other survival, making tools, just pretty much anything a human can do. We can learn through watching that, but he has to do it by just becoming it.
Mm-hmm.
And that I can't wait to see what will happen, but I imagine he will find the so-called promised land that will be bustling with people. Like he said, there will be fruit. He'll try some fruit and he'll be like, this is amazing. He'll meet some friends along the way. I don't know whether what this is going to turn into, though, whether it's going to be like an action-y adventure or it's going to be like a heartfelt story. It could even have elements of comedy in there. It could have... it's really hard to predict what will happen. Usually I'm quite good at predicting what's going to happen next. But this leaves it so open-ended at the end of the episode, which is probably why I want to watch so much more. But it does it really well, and yeah, it just makes it very difficult to think about what's going to happen next. But I imagine he's going to go to a town and meet some friends. It's going to be the next step.
Well, I can say this again. I won't spoil anything, but I can say this: he's going to go to some very interesting places. He's going to meet some very interesting people. Some of them you are going to love, and some of them you are going to hate with a passion.
Great.
So looking forward to that, mate.
Yeah. God, it wouldn't be a great story without it.
So yeah, to conclude for this first segment, please go out there and watch To Your Eternity.
Do yourself a favour. Just if you do anything this year, if you want to start off 2023 correctly, you should do it with this. You should do it with To Your Eternity. Do yourself a favour.
You will not be disappointed. Okay, on to the next segment. So, we actually finished watching Jujitsu Kisen recently.
Yeah.
And, my God, I love it. I'm so glad you introduced another show to me.
I thought you would love it, yeah. It's so action-packed and so fluent with this fights. I'll get a bit more into why I love this series in particular. It's in my top 3 top action anime of all time, and I would say it's definitely the second on the list. Second on the list.
I would say it's definitely one of the stronger animes I've watched recently since Naruto, where the fight scenes really wowed me. Because ever since Naruto, I've sort of gotten a bit desensitized, not in the bad way, but I've gotten familiar with seeing anime fight scenes, and we've had some great ones in My Hero Acidaemia, and a few random ones that I've watched in my own time, but nothing big. But Jujutsu really wowed me with just its first episode, and now having seen the whole first season and the prequel movie, my God, I'm so hooked now.
And we've watched the prequel movie as well, so we've seen everything Jujutsu Kaisen currently has out, and yeah, wow, it's all amazing. So, what did you think of season 1?
I thought it was great. I love the premise of, because I'm gonna give a little side tip or side tangent here. I'm kind of annoyed with you because because when you first introduced this series to me, you actually showed me the opening first, and you specifically told me to watch it and treat it like Game of Thrones. Don't get attached to everyone. And I took your word for it, and I kind of got in my head that, okay, so what's this story going to be about then? And after I watched the intro, I thought, I got it. I've cracked it. So the story's going to be about this kid who's got a demon living in him, and he's being hunted by everyone we see in the anime. So all these people with weapons, with casual similar clothing to him, they're basically a faction that hunt monsters, and they're going to hunt him because he has a monster in him. And the reason that you told me to highlight the scene remember the scene where he's sitting down having a picnic with everyone. And I thought, you know what, I think that's meant to imply that this is what he thinks in his head, what he would like to see happen in his head, where everyone is being nice and kind to him, maybe even friendly to him, but in reality, they all want to kill him. And you bloody lied to me, mate. Because the truth is, you were setting me up for one of the most heartbreaking subplots in that first season, which was the death of Junpei?
Was it
Yoshito?
I'm sorry. Like, we're both really dyslexic, and so Japanese names are really, really difficult. But I'm going to try my best to pronounce it. Junpei. I think it is literally like Jumpy. It sounded like jump. They were saying Jumpy.
Yeah.
But Junpei, Yoshino.
Yeah.
Yoshino.
Oh my god, he's such a poor kid. He is.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this was a little bit later into the first season, with the protagonist that we met being, the antagonist that we met being the guy with the lots of stitches around him.
Yeah. And in short, he basically got manipulated by this guy to, basically. We won't go into too deep spoilers here, and we won't summarize it like we did with the last segment. But in short, he basically manipulated him to do some very bad things. The main character tried to intervene, and the kid sadly died. And it's such a 180 because
literally in the intro as well, there's the picnic scene. He is in it, and it makes you think, oh, he's gonna, they're gonna convert him to good, and they're gonna bring him to Jujutsu High School, and nope, he's dead. And it's like, oh, okay. So it does a full 180 on you on the first season. But I do want to talk about something in particular about Jujutsu Kaisen, which I love so much, and it has to be how they do fights. So with a lot of anime, especially like very tropey ones like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, the fights are very stop, start, talk, build up, flashback, and then fight for a couple frames, and then do that again. And that's how they flesh out lots and lots of episodes, by making it very slow, explaining all their moves and stuff like that. It's a very good way of understanding it. But the way Jujutsu Kaisen, the way I felt they did it, was they just let them fight. They did the fight, and maybe a couple times it would slow down, not stop, but slow down a bit, like go into slow motion. They would explain something real quick, and then it would get straight back into it. The animation for this is some of the smoothest stuff I've ever seen in my life. It's phenomenally animated. The animation studio went above and beyond when it comes to how they animated fights and just everything in that series. Everything is gorgeous. Especially the fight between the guy with the stitch face that we just talked about, our main character, and one of the mentors, one of the teachers of Jujutsu Kaisen. And they fight the stitch guy, and wow, what a fight that was. It's a great first example in the series of how well they can animate fights.
Yeah, I mean, God, for standout fights for me, I mean, there's two ones that stand out, well, three actually. The first is Sensei Gojo.
Gojo, yeah.
Yeah, his first fight where we get to see his eyes, and my God, that was a sight to see.
That man is beautiful.
Yeah, and my God, seeing his power on display was impressive of itself. And then we get to the fight between Panda and the other, the robot student. I'm forgetting his name. Sorry.
Yeah.
But again, another great fight scene. Again, I'm sorry. I'm not good at describing scenes in action, but just for me at least, the story behind it, how the characters interacted, and how it was all executed with the fight scene and how they had their special abilities. It really, really. I mean, again, if you told me before watching this show, oh, you're going to see a panda fight a robot, I'll be like, get out of here. I mean, anime can go places, but they're not going to go that stupid, are they? Because this is a fight series. You told me it was going to be a very serious series. You were not lying.
It's a bit of both. It does its comedy very well as well. It doesn't do it too over the top, and it's funny when it's trying to have a little bit of comedic relief. But
it knows when to be touching and very meaningful with the characters, and even with the villains too. And because segueing into that, the last fight that I thought was really impressive was the last fight in the season.
The very last one where our main character, what's his name again?
It's
Itadori. So Itadori and the girl, which I've forgotten her name.
Me too.
Look, we're so bad. We're so bad with Japanese names, but she is a fucking badass. She's a very well written character, very very well written. She is like a really really hardy type of girl where she doesn't take shit from anyone, and she will mess someone up for like touching her hair. And it's like I just love that. I just love that character a lot. So it's basically them two fighting what seem like curses. So curses are like I won't go into like the full thing, but they're meant to be like kind of spectral. They're not really real. They're not real people. However, these ones were actually humans converted into curses. So when they die, they don't just disappear and be exorcised. They bleed out and die, like people do. And that whole fight was phenomenal. You got to see the real skills of the girl for one of the first times. Like, you got to see her skills, but like not to the extent of her pure badassery.
Yeah, one of the great things for this show is that when they introduce all the characters, everyone gets a moment to shine, but this moment really showed her greater power.
Yeah.
And previous episodes, she had some great stuff to do, some great action scenes, but this was like, okay, you're pulling out all the stops for the last episode, and my God, did they deliver, especially with the music too.
Oh, yeah, no, the music timing on that one bit.
Yeah.
Where it's dun, 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 and then it goes into like a really nice anime song. Oh, it was absolutely phenomenal. It just like really gets your heart rate up, gets that adrenaline pumping in you. And not many animes do that for me nowadays, which was what I really appreciated about Jujutsu Kaisen. Was it made me feel. And I not like, yeah, sure, there's sad animes and stuff like this, but that feeling of like, wow, kind of while you're sitting in a chair.
Yeah, like, it makes you want to punch the air.
Yeah, it just, you don't get that so often with too many animes, and Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely a gem of an anime.
I mean, there's a reason we stopped watching Boruto.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started on Boruto. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like going on a tangent now that you said that. What a crap thing to do after the most amazing anime ever, Naruto. Why would you make such a flaming pile of steaming shit? I'm going to go a very tad bit into this real quick. They animated it poorly. The story is written poorly. The villains, boring. Our heroes in all the teams, boring. Everyone sucks. I hate it. I hate it so much. Everything in Naruto was so interesting, unique. Everyone had their own personalities. Everything was great. And Boruto just does not hit. There's just, go look up Boruto terrible fight scenes, and you'll just see how poorly animated, like, some of the quote unquote big fights in the season are animated. They fight a god at one point, and it's so poorly animated. I don't understand. It's like it should be a finale, but they just didn't bother. It's just terrible. Right, enough about that because I will get too deep into it, and we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen in particular.
Yeah, I would just add, it is such a shame because we stopped. We were watching it together, and we stopped. We got to around the point where they just finished the owl arc, where they had to confront a clan dressed as owls,
Yeah,
and it was an alright arc, but very not very
like
standout-ish.
it's very hit and miss at the beginning of Boruto. Like the first kind of main part of Boruto, just before they become Genins, was actually really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, from memory, I remember thinking this is okay. It's not terrible, but it's like this is clearly like set up stuff, or like not filler bad, but it's like you're clearly setting the groundwork for these characters to have some mini adventures before we get to the exciting stuff. You were already caught up with the anime by then, so
I pushed myself through 100 and something episodes of that, and I eventually gave up because I was watching it and I was really like with Naruto. When I watched that for the first time, I watched all the filler. I watched every single little bit of content for Naruto, and for Boruto, I could barely bring myself to watch the main story, and it was. I hate the people that made that.
It's a shame.
Passion.
I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of this year, they'll have some good stuff back on their rota, and we might even consider getting back into it.
Well, we do have something good in the works in terms of Naruto, which is Sasuke Rasugen?
Oh yeah,
not Rasengan.
They announced that recently, didn't they? Earlier this year, didn't
I've
they?
absolutely butchered the name, and I'm going to have to look it up because I feel very bad for butchering that because it sounds really good. So it's basically an adaptation of Naruto, but just after the war arc, and it's about Sasuke, and that is amazing to hear because we've watched so much of Naruto, and it's Naruto's story. Now I want to see a little bit of the badass Sasuke, and it's even got Sakura involved in it. Sakura joins him on quite a few of the adventures, it sounds like. So,
okay.
And it shows how they, I guess, fell in love. By the way, it's called Sasuke Uchiha Retsuden. So it's currently in manga form, going to be animated whenever the manga is very, very far ahead. And I'm really looking forward to letting it release a bit more, and then I'll read through it. I do a thing where I don't watch anime or read mangas when they air. I like to wait for a bit because I like to binge them. I don't like being left hanging while watching something, mainly because I forget about things. So I've done it with Naruto when I caught up, just at the pain when it was being aired during the pain arc of Naruto Shippuden. I finished the pain arc, and then it was all fillers, and I was watching the fillers week by week, and that really made me bored of the show, and I just stopped watching it. And then I came back to it, watched the whole thing when I heard it finished. I watched the whole thing, and wow, that was amazing. I loved that. I loved every single episode of that. And then we watched it together for a second time.
And then you got me hooked.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that detour, everyone.
Yep. Sorry about the detour. Look, if you get me started talking about Naruto, I will ramble. If you get Kobi started talking about anything to do with Star Wars, he'll ramble. So don't.
You're not. You're not wrong. But okay, back to Jujutsu. So, in short, overall, love the first season. I think it's up there with Naruto, with My Hero as my top animes to watch. So I now want to talk a bit about what we might expect for season 2. So do you have any personal predictions for what we could see in the next season? I'll get mine out of the way first.
Yeah.
I feel like these are things I want to see, plus I think we need to see. We need to see more about Sensei Jojo's past.
Yeah.
Because that was actually teased in the Jujutsu Zero movie, where we see a glimpse of his youth with the villain of the film, Kenji I believe that's how it's pronounced, sorry.
Again, apologise for pronunciations. They're Japanese.
And we're British. We're terrible.
It's complete opposite, yeah, so no.
But yeah, we saw a glimpse of that, which was interesting to say the least. Thank you, girls, for the background noise. And I'm really curious to see how that's going to play into the story, because we've got to see his backstory, and hopefully, unlike Kakashi, we won't find out his backstory in a random filler episode. I hope we find out, and it's quite important to the plot, because I imagine, considering what kind of character he is and the power he has, he's got to have something very interesting that's going to be tied to everything going on. And also because the villain at the end of the Zero movie, he died, and yet we see him in the anime, so he's back somehow. So that's got to play into it as well.
Yeah, that's got to somehow play into it. The thing is, during Jujutsu Kaisen, they seem to be in some kind of paradise land, which seems to help heal them. And curses seem to just heal much better than people do, because the volcano guy that got his head chopped off, he grew back the rest of his body by the end of that season. So, there could be a special place that they're in that heals them, which the guy created in his last moments of desperation to cling to survival. But we don't know, and hopefully that's explained a little bit in season 2. Also, what I want to see in season 2 is a lot more of Todo, the huge muscly guy, and a lot more of Itadori going back-to-back fighting, because that was incredible fight between them and the mysterious plant lady curse thing, whatever the hell that was. I don't even know how to describe it. I think plant is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, the living plant.
That was an incredible fight, but I'm hoping to see a lot more of them developing their skills and getting much stronger together, particularly them two. I think they make a really, really good pair. And I also want to see a lot more of our main character of the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, Fushiro, the guy with the black tall hair. Because he's quite mysterious. Even though we've got a lot more information about him in the prequel film, it kind of feels like the prequel film was a whole new glimpse of him.
Speaking on that, I just remembered this, and I did some research on it. The main character, the secondary main character, Megumi, the guy with the black hair.
Yeah.
I did some looking into it, and apparently, let me get up here. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, apparently, he's not the main character from Jujutsu Zero. Apparently, they are completely separate characters.
Oh,
yeah, Megumi. He is his own character. The character in that was Yuta Otsuko.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, that changes. That changes a lot.
Yeah, because I don't know how it crisscrossed, but I thought we both.
So I think that was my bad, because I think I told you about the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, so that would have been my bad. That's my bad.
Oh, it's okay.
But damn, I thought that was the same character. I thought that's what the whole prequel movie was about.
Yeah,
it was about him.
Apparently, again, I did some research after we saw the movie in the first season, but it turns out he was mentioned quite a lot in the first season. We just didn't recollect it as important at the time, because when you see the other classes from the other schools, they talk a lot about how these guys, they're impressive, but they're nothing on him, and I miss so and so. I miss Yuta. I wonder if he's going to be here today. No, he's not. He's away somewhere else. And we actually do glimpse him in moments in episodes 6, 8, 14, and 16. So they keep harping back to him. And if you watch the opening of the second half of the season, he's glimpsed in that as well. And he's also glimpsed in that with the same guy who we saw at the end of Jujutsu Zero.
Right.
So considering those elements added in, and the fact that everyone speaks of him very highly, which they should, considering the shit he could do now. Again, watch the Jujutsu movie if you haven't. But that tells me, one, he's going to be very important going forward, and two, I really want to see him interact with.
Okay, that builds up a bit more about season 2 for me as well. So that's good to know that it's actually a separate character, because I thought they were just developing our other guy,
Megumi.
Yeah. So that's kind of blown my mind a bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Sorry.
I really thought it was him. I don't really know why. I think it was because the whole summoning thing that he
Probably,
did.
yeah.
It was very similar, and I was just a bit. Wow. Okay. That's great to know.
But yeah, I want to see Yuta. I want to see Yuta team up with Itadori. I want to see those two interact. And considering how he was built up by the other characters, and considering Itadori is the main character, I really want to see those two cross paths and see how they're going to fare. Are they going to be the best of friends? Are they going to buckle heads? Or are they going to do something completely out of left field with him? I really don't know, but I really want to see him come back, hopefully, and hopefully soon.
I wonder if they'll bring him in as a villain.
Ooh, maybe.
No, he seems. They seem. I don't know, because we haven't seen him in the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, and again,
in the first season.
And for all we know, he might have gone through a lot of drastic changes and maturity since then.
Yeah.
So who's to say he might not end up being on the school side of like not evil, but the very stubborn master or whatever his name is, the teacher who the head teacher or something. I'm forgetting his name or his title, but he's the guy who wanted Itadori dead.
I want a good excuse to why he wasn't in the first season as well. Like, I want to know what he was doing, and not just, I was on an exchange trip into another country with other Jujitsu sorcerers. Like that is an excuse, but it's not a good one. So hopefully they come up with something better, like, no one's seen him in a very long time. It turns out he's being held by the villains, or who knows, something like that.
And for all we know, he might be under control of one of the villains in the next season. And considering how powerful he was, that would be quite an obstacle for the main characters to face, and also for the co-characters, like the secondary characters, considering they have a history with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, and adding on predictions here, I really hope we see Yuta and Panda team up together.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Panda's third form.
Yeah.
So we've only seen Gorilla Mode and Panda Mode, and there's another one which I don't remember what it said it was.
Yeah, I think there's.
I think he did say what it was, but I can't remember.
Yeah, 4 in total, and one of them is 3 of them are known. Well, 3 of them are known. The fourth one is like we still don't know.
4?
You know, Panda, Gorilla. The third, I'm blanking what the third one is, and then there's the fourth one, and we know 3 out of the 4. Again, I apologise if I've got that wrong, audience.
I think I only know 2 of the 4.
Okay,
if that's the case.
But yeah, I mean, we saw Yuta team up with Maki a lot in the movie, and we saw him interact with I hate that I'm forgetting all their names, but salmon guy.
Oh yeah, the guy that can only the cursed speech user that can only talk in, I think it's sushi ingredients or something ingredients for something, and he can only say those words because those are the only safe words that he made a pact for.
And I'll say this: that's impressive to do a character like that, and it works so much for comedy, but it works so much as such a tragic backstory too for him. And I loved him teaming up with Yuta in the movie, but we never got to see him team up with Panda at all for a mission. We saw them interact a few times, which was fun, and we got some fun humor out of that. But I really want to see them two on a mission together.
We'll probably see a lot more of Panda. Hopefully. I love Panda. It's a great character.
Yeah, and that's all for me for Jujitsu. Anything else from you?
It's amazing. Give it a watch if you haven't. One of the top fighting animes of all time. So, there you go.
On to season 2, hopefully. So, moving on to the next one. We're in familiar territory here. My Hero Acidaemia.
Hey.
So we actually finished season 5 a few weeks ago. Again, as of this recording. Really good. And to say we're excited for the next season is a bit of an understatement. I'll say this though, it has been a while since we watched it. again, weeks, but again, a lot can happen in weeks. So I'm not 100% too down with the full story, but I know the basis of what we could be expecting for this next season. So for you, mate, what are your expectations for Series 6?
Well, what I think is going to happen is Midoriya and what is our antagonist's name?
Shigaraki.
That's it, Shigaraki. Are going to have a big showdown. It's kind of a massive build-up towards it. Shigaraki just got a massive bout of power, and he destroyed what seemed like an entire town, just from his decay ability, which has somehow been enhanced. Well, no, it was enhanced through the doctor's methods.
Essentially, he tapped into his full potential.
Yeah, he tapped into his full potential, and wow, he's changed. He's definitely changed. So he went from grey hair to like pure white hair as well, which makes him look a lot more ghost-like and scary.
Yeah,
a lot more dead.
And considering how emaciated he also looks as well, it's almost like he's slowly becoming not human. And and also the fact that he's now got a bloody army behind him.
Yeah, he's got a massive army behind him now.
Oh,
so I'm expecting many, many, many big fights. But our main hero, Midoriya, he's getting strong. He's getting strong. His fight with Overhaul, that shows how strong he is. And by the end of Season 5, with his fight with Overhaul...
Well, he fought Overhaul in Season 4.
Oh, sorry, Season 4.
But with Season 5, he's definitely advanced a lot, considering his skills, and also because of his new powers.
But even by that's even more impressive then. Even by Season 4, he's stronger than most pro heroes, apart from maybe the top ones. Because when he fights Overhaul, everyone else is watching helplessly. Only Midoriya has the strength to actually one-on-one this guy with what was 100, even more than 100% of One For All's power.
Yeah, and that was just with the help of Eri. But the fact that he was able to get that far shows that this is the potential you have as a hero, mate. You just have to keep working at it. And my God, has he been working at it?
I'm also hoping in Season 6, Eri is able to bring back the powers of one of my most beloved heroes, Lemillion.
Oh yeah, God damn it, Melanic. Oh,
what is his actual name?
I think it's Miko. Begins with M. I can't. Again,
I'll have a little quick Google while we chat.
Yeah, damn it. Yeah, I can't. Again, so sorry, audience. Names, we are terrible. We are terrible people.
We don't remember our most beloved characters.
But then again, God, the Japanese names, they are so complex.
Yeah, they're not easily pronounceable for a regular English person, let alone two very dyslexic English people. Togata.
Mirio.
Yeah, Mirio Togata. Yeah. What a character. I want him back. He had the potential to be the number one hero even without One For All.
God, to imagine Tintin being a hero.
That is Tintin. That is literally Tintin. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So countering yours, for me, I'm really excited, primarily because the end of Series 5 sets up this conflict that we're likely going to be seeing unfold in this season, and I hope to God it sells it, because we've been anticipating a big conflict with villains for a while, and it's sort of, again, Series 4 sort of took a turn because it didn't focus on the League of Villains, it focused on Overhaul, and Season 5 was a bit more about training and then learning more stuff school based and essentially learning. More learning, not bad, but again, it's been a long time since we had a proper conflict with the main villains. So this is gearing up to be a season where we're going to see a lot of returning conflicts.
Yeah,
and I really hope we get a few things that happen. And I've got a list here, so I'll just read them out. For Izuku, I anticipate we are going to see him unlock another quirk again, because what was set up in Season 5, we know he's got six more quirks to unlock.
He's got quite a few. I don't know the total number.
Yeah, because he's the 9th wielder, so 8. Oh no, 7. He's got seven quirks left to unlock. And, oh my god, I'm wondering what it's going to be. I anticipate it's going to be... I don't know, it could be any of them, depending on what the plot needs, I guess.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I'm just really curious to see how that's going to play out.
He's got Dark Whip, or Black Whip, whatever he's called it.
Yeah.
At the moment. He's just learning to control it. But yeah, I'm really curious to what the others will be. If there'll be like major powers, or if there'll be like slight kind of minor powers that he will make better.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to be able to make a certain quirk unique and powerful and needed, it would be Izuku.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he might even, one of the powers might even be like the ability to shift like part of your body or something, so that will help him it further with plot if he needs to unlock a door. Key hand, you know.
Or maybe he might get a power that allows him to turn invisible, and he'll be able to fight someone with the trick of invisibility.
Oh, and then completely negate Invisible Girl's power.
Yeah. Or maybe he might get the Superman treatment and learn to be able to fly.
Ooh.
I mean, again,
I don't think he needs to fly. He's got like super jump, and he's got Dark Whip, which he could probably learn to control to climb up buildings and stuff. So, yeah, so it should be.
Yeah, and my other predictions, and again, this is building off the fact that we know a war is coming, a conflict is going to happen soon. I predict we're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of heroes, especially.
I'm okay. So I'm going to take a quick guess of who I think is going to die on the hero side and the villain side, and you're going to do the same.
Okay.
So on the hero side, I think our beautiful teacher Eraserhead is going to perish.
Really?
I just have a feeling. Because it'll be in a moment of him trying to protect a student or something like that, and then because the Shigaraki was going to kill him in the first season or second season, whatever season it was when they were doing training ground. So it was season 1, and he grabs him by the he goes to grab him by the head and just misses or something like that, and it was about to kill him. So I feel like in this season, if a great war happens, he'll die. I think a couple other notable professional hero teachers will die, like maybe Midnight or Cement Guy. Cementos. A few ones like that. I don't think the voice guy will die. Whatever his name was.
Present Mike?
Oh, yeah. Present Mike? Something like that.
Present Mike, sorry.
Present Mike, yeah, that's it. I don't think he'll die. Maybe. He just seems like kind of the mascot at the moment, so I don't know, I feel like he'll still be around. Also, on the villain side, I think we'll see either the girl that drinks blood,
Toga.
I think we'll either see Toga die, or the guy that splits.
Twice.
I think we might see one of them die, and that will motivate the other one, because they're like a duo. They really like each other. Twice and Toga. And I think if one of them die, it'll be, like that. I feel like it will be Twice that dies. Just as a hunch. I don't know. They're kind of building up Toga to be like this.
Almost rivalry with Uraraka, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Twice is going to die. And do you know what would be fucking kind of funny but also tragic if it turns out, yes, he was a clone.
Oh, that'd be sad.
Because he had that big fight with himself when he turned himself into loads of clones and he couldn't tell which one was the real one. And I feel like he is a clone and the real one died.
Yeah.
I just feel like that. That is such a Twice thing.
Well, for me, I feel like...
Oh, and Spinner. Screw Spinner. He's boring. He's gonna kick it, bro.
Probably. Because for me, my list of who I think is going to die, on the villain side, I agree. I think Spinner is on the cards, mostly because he's not the most standoutish villain among the roster. But I do feel like when we get into that, if they give him a lot to do, well, not a lot to do. At least if we give him some meaningful moments. Sorry, I think we could definitely understand him a bit more just before the end. And I think because he has such a tie to Stain, being such a fan of him and looking up to his ideology, I imagine that would be something that they would definitely have to touch on, which I think would be an interesting way to go for a war conflict, especially with heroes. And if he does end up dying, is that going to inspire people too? His own comrades as well. So also, let's face it, he's not. When you compare all the villains, he's like not everyone's first favorite. So that's why I think he's on the cards to kick the bucket. Other than him, I can guess maybe Twice dying, but he's also such a very likable character.
Yeah, he's very Deadpool-esque, and that's what's so lovable about him.
But he's also got such a unique backstory, so I can imagine him sticking around at least a bit longer. I mean, if anything, I imagine, again, considering Togo is likely going to be a mainstay as well, I can imagine him almost reeling her in. So I can't imagine him kicking off so soon.
Maybe you're right. I just got a feeling.
As for the heroes, though, I agree. I think Eraserhead is going to be crippled. You know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to lose his sight.
That would be intense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like he's going to be put through the ringer again. He's going to see everyone he cares about, his students, his friends, his colleagues, get beaten quite down mercilessly, and then he's going to try and confront Shigaraki or whoever's he's fighting at the time, and he's going to lose his sight. And it's going to be at this point where the kids have to step in.
Yeah.
And as for other heroes, again, we've got a lot, but I imagine we're going to lose Present Mike. Because we saw in the last season how him and Eraserhead and Kurogiri, they used to be childhood friends.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and we know that those three, they're essentially back together again. They're not sadly. Poor Kurogiri.
Do you think Kurogiri will kill him?
No, I don't think so, because he's still in Tartarus at the moment. I can't imagine him. Well, again, they could break him out, but
anything can happen during this.
Yeah, anything. What I feel that's going to happen though is that we're going to get a bit more backstory. We're going to get more invested in him, because we already are at this point, considering that backstory.
Yeah.
And he's such a likable character too. But I feel like he's going to die, and that's going to push Eraserhead over the edge, which is going to compel him to fight harder, and it will consequence in him losing his power in his sight. I feel like that's one way to go around it, especially because Eraserhead, he's such an important character to the heroes. I can't imagine him be kicking the bucket so soon. But at the same time, again, you never know.
I feel like the magic guy might die as well. The guy that can turn people into like marbles.
Oh yeah, Mr. Compass.
I can't remember. That sounds about right though, Mr. Compass.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I actually think Snipe might also kick the bucket too.
Yeah.
Just because, as cool as he is in his own way, he just has guns.
No, I feel like he'll die specifically because he got shot off onto Shigaraki in season 1.
Yes, that's.
I feel like Shigaraki's going to get his revenge for that one. He might be one of the first teacher deaths actually. Thinking about it, I think you might be spot on there.
And so that's it for the predicting villain deaths and hero deaths. Moving on to the other stuff, I also think we're going to lose some classmates.
Ooh.
I think that...
Who would we lose?
Again, I can't... I've only got side characters popping up into my head.
Tail guy, get rid of him and just kill him off.
And maybe Invisible Girl too. But again, I don't feel like they would, because they need... Again, I feel like these characters have potential still. And also, again... It would be sad, but it wouldn't be tragic. And considering this storyline that they're likely setting up, I think we could see Leader get severely hurt. I can imagine him sort of getting a similar treatment like his brother, where he'll be hurt and bad enough that he probably might have to consider another profession.
Right, yeah.
Or...
That would be so sad, though. He's such a good hero.
Yeah.
He's got such a cool power. I love the fact that he's got like speed and he can change out his engines, because he only just recently changed out the engines in his legs and made him faster, and I think that's incredible. I think that's a really, really like clever way to make that power more something you can build into, you know.
And I think I can't think of any other students who I think could kick the bucket so soon. But I do feel like we're definitely gonna lose someone, or at the very least, we're gonna lose someone so bad where they can't recover from it, but they might not die. But that's the catalyst to that is that's going to be pushing Midoriya over the edge.
I want to make a prediction as well. You know I don't know his name, the villain with the blue flames.
Darby.
He seems to have it in for Endeavour. Why?
I think
is he a relative?
I'll say this: I have a theory, and I feel like it's. I'm not gonna lie. I've been kind of sort of. I feel like it's been telegraphed to us ever since he was introduced during the summer camp arc. And do you want to say it? Because I think you're all on the same page here.
I think it literally just clicked in my head. He might be Endeavour's dead son.
Yes, because if you remember in season 5, when they visited the Todoroki house, we saw he had a shrine for one of his sons.
And it did kind of look like him, but with white hair, didn't it?
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, we know he had...
Like, younger. He had the same sort of hairstyle. Like the kind of tall, spiky hair. And he had, I guess, not a very similar face, actually, but, like, still, that can change with age.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it's possible. Maybe he might be just a relative of a cousin or something, or maybe he might be something completely different, but...
Maybe because of the way Endeavour treated his family, he, as the first prodigy child with the blue flame, something wasn't quite right with the flame, because it burns him as well, so Endeavour got mad, and he pretended to die, or kill himself off, and then hide in the shadows and become a villain.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible, but I feel like it's... I mean, I feel like he is related to Endeavour, primarily just because of their powers, how he has it out for him so much. At the same time, I also kind of feel like if he is that, cool against him, would he... I mean, because he didn't kill Shoto during the summer camp arc. At least he taunted him, and I think... But he didn't, try to kill him, did he? I can't remember.
I can't remember.
It's been a while since we watched season 3, but...
I don't think he's ever had a one-on-one fight with him.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he doesn't care, but he's not seeking revenge against the family, just Endeavour, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. Or I don't know.
Maybe we would see some kind of connection between him and... oh my god, what's his name?
Shoto?
Half and half. Yeah, Shoto. Maybe we would have seen some kind of connection between him and Shoto already, if that was the case, but I think it's a pretty good guess that we've made.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it wasn't like teasing us, but I kind of feel like ever since Shoto and him had that stare down in season 3, I kind of thought, quite paralleling here. Kind of familiar with this trope. What is it? Oh, are they, considering their powers, are they relatives? Are they brothers? Are they cousins? But yeah, I feel like that's definitely on the cards to come forward in this season, considering the showdowns. Could be interesting.
That would be really interesting. I would love if they did that. I really hope that's true now.
And the last prediction here for me, I predict that Izuku is going to fight a Nomu, and he's going to win. Because we know that the Doctor has access to multiple Nomus.
You mean like a Nomu that All Might fought, like that power level?
Yeah, and we saw there were multiple ones at the Doctor's lab.
None we've seen so far is as strong as the one All Might fought, apart from the one Endeavour fought, which did seem more powerful, but Endeavour still won.
Yeah, and I can imagine that we're going to get a bunch of Nomu, or an army of Nomu maybe, but we're going to see the heroes battle some Nomu, and there's going to be that one OP one, and Izuku's going to have to step up. Everyone he knows is weak or hurt, or some even dead. His teacher's just been hurt too, and he's got to step up in this moment, and we're going to have Izuku essentially parallel All Might, where he's got to fight to save people, and he's going to win, and then we're going to see the big showdown between him and the main villain.
That could be true, or Midoriya might be busy fighting Shigaraki and classmates team up and fight the Nomu together, so it's like a side-by-side kind of fight. That happens. I feel like they might do that, just to give the class some credit where it's due. Either that, or have them fight the lesser Nomu, Shigaraki watch as Izuku fights the big Nomu, and then when he beats it, he's like Izuku. It scares Shigaraki a little bit, or he gets excited, and they're ready to fight after that. That could be really cool.
Mm. In closing for My Hero, a lot of exciting stuff that could happen. I can say this: I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to just getting back into that world again. Because it's been a few weeks for us since recording again from this episode, but I still love that world so much, and I really can't wait to get back into this next chapter.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually watching season 6 because is it fully out now?
As of this recording, I think it's still airing. By the time this episode goes up, it'll hopefully be completely done.
Okay.
And we're
doing the thing where we wait for it all to come out and then watch it all in one go.
Yeah, the moment we know, or either of us find out that last episode is out, we are watching this series.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I cannot wait to see it again.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Let's see what's in store for us in the future.
I think we made some excellent predictions, and it was really nice to talk and watch To Your Eternity and talk about it, because that was phenomenal. Thank you for letting me talk about anime with you. It's very nice always talking about anime. I love anime.
I'm glad you enjoy it, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.